After a 3-week boat break in California, I flew back to Quito with my new pelagic Autopilot in my luggage and my batteries nicely filled up. Maria had taken the bus up to Quito to come and visit me from Bahia Caracas, where our boats Karl and Joanna happily swing on a mooring. Quito is the capital of Ecuador and is situated some 2,800 meters above sea level, right on the foot of the active volcano Pichincha. And this makes Quito the second highest capital city in the world after La Paz. I had lived in Quito some 15 years ago, and when Maria and I strolled through the narrow streets of Old Town, I noticed that many things had changed over the years, fortunately for the better. The Old Town shows many beautiful buildings of colonial and indigenous architecture, and it counts as one of the largest, least altered and best preserved historic centers in the Americas. We decided to go on a little museum trip to the museum called Capilla del Hombre, and apparently it has some really nice art up there, so we're gonna go and check that out after a little stroll through Old Town here. I think it was a good idea to come here because right now outdoor activities wouldn't be so good. There's a big thunderstorm moving in, so wow, the view is really nice. We just got completely so massive thunderstorm. Huh? What cat? The Capilla del Hombre shows paintings of the Ecuadorian painter Guayasamín. Guayasamín painted some Ecuadorian landscapes and flowers, but most of his work focuses on the suffering of the indigenous people of Latin America. On looking at the faces, the bodies and hands of the people in the paintings, you can feel the pain and suffering jumping right at you. I remember this place from when I lived in Quito 15 years ago. It was a beautiful little cafe or restaurant that overlooks the whole city. It's called Café Mosaico. So we're here right now, and it's still as beautiful as I remember it. Check it out.
One thing we do well is drink.
That's good.
It's actually a decent cocktail.
I know.
And then it was already time to hop on the 8-hour bus back to our floating homes in Bahia Caracas.
Is this filming? Well, I'm back on Karl, and I'm literally melting away. It's super hot and humid. It's nice to be back in the warmth, but it could be a couple of degrees less, possibly. Well, everything looks good. Karl's looking super good. He held up well the 3 weeks that I was away. And now I'm gonna work on my first project, which is installing my new pelagic Autopilot that I brought back from California. It's gonna be exciting. Alrighty, this is the new pelagic Autopilot. Well, that's the parts of it. The control unit, and this is the bracket that goes onto the wind vane here, and this is the tiller actuator, so this one goes onto the tiller directly, and they both are being steered by the same control unit, which is nice. So basically if you swap out, you use the same power source, so you only have one thing that goes through the deck, and then you just take the one out and put the other one in, which is super cool. And then this is a little remote control as well that I've gotten. Plus, this guy, he's still wrapped up because that's how he's going to sit. That's a spare arm for the tiller, just in case something happens. And yeah, let's see how this baby works, shall we? This is where my old block sits, or sat, and this marking here is where the new position is going to be for the new Autopilot. I'm going to use this hole, although it's a little far to the side, but I don't really want to drill too many holes into my deck, so I'm just going to drill a second hole and then screw it tight from the bottom. Little control unit is now set for facing stern. You're either supposed to face it stern or bow. You can also do it sideways, but then they have to reprogram it, I think. So since it comes like that, I'm going to place it here, and Skema recommended that I swap the compass with the Garmin because the compass is supposed to be at least 6 inches away from the pilot. So that's not too bad. And it's only, yeah, what, 2 screws, 1 here, 1 there. So 2 more holes in my precious hull. Well, 3 holes, I guess, since the cable has to go somewhere too. Box is kind of mounted out here. Well, all the holes are drilled, so everything is kind of prepped. Now for me, the most annoying part of this whole project is starting, meaning I have to take out the wall from the inside and the insulation. Then I have to run the cable that connects the control box to the motor box behind the wall, and then I need to stick it through into my aft cabin and then run it along like below my cockpit bench basically until the control box, until the motor box, which means I have to basically take everything out of the storage to reach it. You hopefully don't have to do that on your project. Let's see if this works. Well, something. Well, it seems to be working. So all there's left to do is clean up the mess a little bit, but first things first. Cheerio, pelagic.
After installing the actuator onto my wind vane, Peter Feldman, who is the man behind my Wind Pilot Pacific, contacted me because he had some recommendations for mounting the arm differently to prevent possible damage to the Wind Pilot. And that's why you'll have to wait a little bit longer to see how the wind vane actuator gets installed. But more about that some other time.